Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Jamaica. It is Thursday, October 23, and we are here for another special press briefing in relation to Tropical Storm Melissa. Yesterday we had a very good briefing, and today we're going to have another good one. I have to acknowledge those who are in the room and who are joining us online. And I start with the Honourable Desmond Mackenzie, Minister of Local Government and Community Development, who is online. He is also the Deputy Chair of our National Disaster Risk Council. We also have with us the Honourable Daryl Vaz, Minister of Energy, Telecoms and Transportation. We have the Honourable Matthew Samuda, Minister of Water, Environment and Climate Change. We also have the Honourable Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness. The Honourable Abka Fitz-Henley, Minister of State in the Office of Prime Minister. Senator Marlon Morgan, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. We also have Mr. Richard Thompson, who is the Acting Director General of ODPEM, who is on way. We have PS, Dr. Kassan Troop, PS in the Ministry of Education. We also have Mr. Rohan Brown from the Met Service and Evan Thompson, who will be joining online. We have lots of representatives from various ministries, agencies of government, and also the private sector. I know in the room we have JPS, we have NWC, we have Flow, we have the Airport Authority, we have Petrojam, we have JUTC. I may have left off some, but I'll tell you as we go along who is also here. So members of the media, we acknowledge you for coming out. Jamaicans at home and abroad, good morning again to you all. We are going to be getting some updates very soon. Since our last presser, which we had yesterday, a lot of things have changed. You'd have seen the updates this morning where we were upgraded to a tropical storm warning and a hurricane watch. You would have also seen a notice that out of an abundance of caution, we did move our classes and our schools to the remote environment. And so those are two key updates so far. The agencies of government have been working, and you'll hear all about that this morning. The Met Service, usually we start with them, but they had an important meeting with the National Hurricane Center, so we're going to change the order. Usually we start with the forecast, but this morning we're going to be starting with Minister Tufton, who is going to give us an update from the Ministry of Health standpoint. They're very, very important in the preparedness and also in the response mechanism of government. And so we'll have Minister Tufton first. When he is finished, we expect that the Met Service team will be ready by that time, and we will have them and Minister Samuda, and then after that we will have Minister Vaz come to you. So first up is Minister Tufton. Good morning, Minister.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister. And let me just welcome and recognize my colleague ministers in the audience who have been mentioned before, members of the civil service group, including my own permanent secretary, Errol Green, and I also have with us our head of the emergency services in health, Dr. Dawkins Wright, who is prepared to elaborate on any specifics related to our preparedness. So I'll give you an update on our plans and what the possible impact of the storm is likely to have on the health services. So we do anticipate, even though we hope not, that given what is being projected, that there will be some disruption in our health services, interruption of supply chains, including for medications, the possibility of injuries from wind damage, debris, and falling trees, the risk of waterborne or vector-borne diseases from flooding and stagnant water, challenges to our most vulnerable, among them people living with chronic diseases, the elderly, persons with disabilities, pregnant women, and children. So there's likely to be an impact on the entire society, or entire lives. and we need to prepare for that. The Emergency Operation Center is now fully activated within the Ministry of Health and Wellness. It's a 24-hour center which keeps in touch with all the collaborating agencies and mans from that space the response that is required throughout the country. And that is up and running. We continue to prepare our efforts across the island, and we have had a number of consultations over the past number of days with the regional health authorities and other stakeholders. So these are some of the specifics. All public hospitals will now enter emergency mode. This means that while hospitals remain open, outpatient services and elective surgeries will be suspended for the time being to focus on the emergencies. Visitations will be limited, and family members are asked to pick up their relatives who have been admitted for non-critical reasons, and the respective hospitals will reach out to those family members. We have to reserve bed space just in case we need them for emergencies. In terms of health centers, we remain open until 4 p.m. today. A further update on our health centers will be provided tomorrow. So up to 4 p.m. you can access health centers across the country. We have 325 across the country. In terms of the system readiness, there are approximately 116 priority facilities, 25 hospitals and 91 type 3 to 5 health centers. A verification exercise has been conducted with key capacity indicators, which include the following: human resources, some 702 personnel identified and are on standby across parishes for emergency response activation. All assessed facilities have documented staff welfare measures in place, so we have personnel in place. Secondly, command and control, 100% of priority facilities have established identifiable command centers to coordinate emergency response operations with clearly defined roles and responsibilities. Backup power systems, 75% of priority facilities have functional backup electricity systems, generators with fuel reserves, capable of sustaining power for some 72 hours post-disaster. And the generator project has equipped some 21 primary care facilities, increasing the total to 60 facilities across the country. This is for primary care, the health centers. Medical gas and supplies, 100% of priority facilities have sufficient medical gas supplies, estimated to last some 72 hours. Strategic stockpiles of medications and medical consumables have been verified and are maintained at a minimum 72-hour level. Infection prevention and control, 100% of priority facilities have been documented infection prevention and control protocols and system visibly in place. Transportation fleet, 87% of priority facilities reported having fully functional transportation or vehicles fleet for emergency response and patient support. Communication capacity, 75 UHF radio systems available for mobile response teams. Based on radio check, JICA emergency communication project is in operation in some areas as of July 2025. Starlink backup communication system have been tested in Western region for enhanced redundancy. So we are putting in and have put in communication systems to be able to communicate if there are disruptions in normal channels. Surge capacity, hospital inpatient capacity of approximately 5,000 beds, 20 operating theater units, 19 emergency rooms across the public system. And there are plans for the rapid redeployment of mobile response teams if required. And there's one functioning field hospital, which is currently being deployed at the Maypen Hospital. Multi-sectoral coordination, parish, hospital, and National Health Disaster Committee meetings have been convened. The Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Coordination Committee has been established and engaged with partner agencies, including agencies that are here, the NWC, UNICEF, Food for the Poor, JDF, and the NWA. I want to just use the opportunity, having given these specifics, to encourage Jamaicans to work with us to ensure their safety and good health during this period. Ensure that you have at least 72 hours of essentials in a storm-ready kit, somewhere that it can keep dry, okay? And storm-ready kit is sophisticated sounding, but it could be a plastic bag. Ensure that you include in this non-perishable food. Spoiled food can be a source of serious health concerns if you have no light and your refrigerator goes down. So the tin stuff, right? And other non-perishable foods. Water is essential because waterborne diseases tends to be the logical consequence after a storm. Medications, flashlight, battery-powered radio, and extra batteries. So it's important that the public take the next number of hours to prepare themselves. If you have chronic illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, kidney disease, respiratory ailments, ensure that you have your medicines and know how to take them if services are disrupted. And we do encourage persons to communicate with their health provider in anticipation of the possibility of disruption. So whatever clarity they need, they can get before. We also would like to say and encourage you to stay tuned to updates, and I'm sure there may the Met Service and ODPM and so on that will give updates, but the Ministry of Health will also provide updates as necessary, and the extent to which you can get those updates from main media, traditional media, or otherwise you should. However, my closing remark is that be also cautious around the social media communication and ensure that it comes from sources that are credible. In disasters, we tend to get a lot of misinformation. Everybody's an expert, and we could create confusion in that way. So we discourage those who would like to be an expert but know they are not from communicating unless they're absolutely sure. And we certainly encourage the public to stay tuned to the recognized and authoritative sources around this. Thank you very much, and we wish all a safe passage through this storm.
Thank you very much, Minister Tufton. And I know that his permanent secretary is here, Errol Green. I acknowledge you, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and he is also going to be staying to answer some of the questions at the end. So we have a lot of updates to get through, and the man of the moment, usually you're used to seeing Evan Thompson, but today we have a really wonderful person from the Met Service, Rohan Brown, who will be the one that will be providing the update. And so he will be coming to do his presentation. And after that, we will have Minister Samuda coming forward also. So please welcome Rohan Brown from the Met Service, a new voice for us here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Minister Morris Dixon. At this time, the Meteorological Service continues to closely monitor Tropical Storm Melissa, which has shown a slight increase in forward speed, but remains a slow-moving system across the central Caribbean waters. Now, for those tracking as of 10 a.m., the center of Tropical Storm Melissa was located near latitude 15.5 degrees north, 74.9 degrees west, or about 215 miles southeast of Kingston, Jamaica. The system is moving slowly towards the northeast near 7 kilometers per hour, and maximum sustained winds are up to 75 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Now, we have gone from a tropical storm watch to a warning because tropical storm conditions are likely within 36 hours within the Jamaica area. And we have also gone to a hurricane watch because hurricane conditions of 119 kilometers or more in terms of wind speed are likely over Jamaica over the next 48 hours. Now, little strength in forecast is expected over the next day or so. But what is interesting, we just had a discussion with the National Hurricane Center, and coming out of that is that Melissa could become a major hurricane sitting south of Jamaica on the weekend. And that, of course, is something that we have to pay special attention to. Generally, in terms of the impacts, we're expecting significant rainfall amounts that could cause localized flooding and landslides, especially over low-lying and flood-prone areas due to Melissa, and of course the antecedent conditions of the heavy rainfalls over the last couple of weeks, which would allow the soils to be very wet or saturated at most. And strong gusty winds are likely in terms of tropical storm winds over Jamaica Friday into the weekend. And as such, we have gone for the tropical storm warning, and the hurricane conditions are likely on Saturday, and therefore we have gone for a hurricane watch as well. Marine interest should expect widespread showers and thunderstorms accompanied by tropical storm force winds today and continuing into the weekend. Winds reaching hurricane strength are likely on Saturday, particularly over southern and eastern offshore areas. And of course, we're advising that all marine operators, including fishers on the quays and banks, should have by now be in port, and we're urging them to complete their necessary safety precautions without delay. At this point, it is important for the public to understand that the system is still evolving. And because it's evolving, while it remains a tropical storm, any change in the forward speed and the structure could alter the expected impacts for Jamaica. Therefore, we urge everybody to be vigilant, to keep monitoring official updates from the Met Service, and of course, to stay tuned to the Meteorological Service, your source of information. We continue to provide updates every 3 hours as necessary, and in coordination with the National Hurricane Center in Miami, the Ministry of Water, Environment and Climate Change, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, and other responsible agencies, we are coordinating for this storm. In our profession, we always pray and hope for the best, but we always plan for the worst. So in this case, we are praying that God will protect and bless Jamaica land we love, and we are going to plan and prepare for this storm. Thank you, Minister.
All right, you heard it. That's the update. We're going to switch order a little bit and have Minister Daryl Vaz now come to give the update. And I saw Digicel in the audience now too. So they are also going to be available to take your questions at the end. So even if you don't hear them give an update, they are all here. Everybody that I announced is here to take questions. Welcome, Minister Vaz.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, colleague ministers, PSs, and of course, heads of agencies and partners. So, the Ministry of Energy, Telecommunications and Transport cover a number of essential services, which I know there are questions that are being asked. So I'm going to give an overview. We have heads of agencies here. We also have president of JPS and others that are here, Digicel and Flow, Stephen Price, who is here from Digicel. Okay, and Digicel, which are critical stakeholders in times of emergencies such as this. So as the country continues to prepare for Tropical Storm Melissa, Ministry of Energy, Transport and Telecommunications has been working closely with our utility providers, transport entities, and telecommunication providers to ensure a coordinated national state of readiness. I'm going to leave JPS for last. And I'm happy to see my good friend Hugh Grant here. So let us start with Petrojam. We have activated all refinery emergency systems and confirmed sufficient fuel supplies, over 2 weeks worth of refined products, and 10 days of LPG following the storm. Loading facilities in Kingston and Montego Bay will extend hours to support pre-storm deliveries, and the Jamaica Aircraft Refueling Services JARS is fully stocked with jet fuel and aviation gasoline to ensure continuous aircraft refueling. Flow Jamaica has fully activated its crisis management system with support from local and regional teams. Power resilience has been strengthened with over 61% of mobile sites now having backed up power and 143 new generators installed island-wide. All generators are refueled and serviced, and field teams are mobilized. Company's Emergency Operations Center is active, and the public can reach the center for emergencies at 876-929-9834. I'll repeat that, 876-929-9834 and 876-929-9837. That's 876-929-9837. Digicel has formed a dedicated disaster response core team to ensure continuous operations during the storm. Company has strengthened communication redundancy with satellite phones and backup connectivity through other providers. All network sites, towers, and facilities have been structurally inspected, and generators confirmed to be up and running condition. Essential spare parts are secured locally and overseas, and mobile cell sites are ready for rapid deployment to restore service. Digicel has also conducted safety training and weather simulation drills to enhance preparedness and technical response. Transport, Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC, will maintain regular bus operations as long as conditions are safe to do so. Service updates will be shared via social media and public channels. 30 buses are designated for emergency deployment across depots in Portmore, Spanish Town, Rockfort, and Montego Bay. Each depot has activated an emergency operations committee, and the JUTC representatives are embedded in national and parish emergency centers for coordinated response. All depots, fuel stations, and assets have been secured, and the company is prepared to support evacuation and transport efforts if needed. Montego Bay Metro, Western Transport Operations, remains fully operational and will continue to provide service as long as weather conditions allow. Toll Authority, highway operators, very important. Highway operators are now on alert to respond to any emergency direction that the minister may issue when it becomes necessary, which means that if the storm or the hurricane is creating panic and the highways are congested, I will give the direction to open the highways, toll booths, free of cost to the commuters during the period of the storm. Airports Authority of Jamaica, important for those of you who might be planning to leave. Emergency protocols are fully activated at Jamaica's international airports in preparation for Tropical Storm Melissa. At Sangster International Airport, MBJ Airports Limited has implemented pre-hurricane measures, including drainage and tree clearing, testing of generators with a 36-hour fuel reserve, and positioning of emergency supplies. At Norman Manley International Airport, PACAL has directed stakeholders to secure assets and complete drain cleaning, structural checks, and power system tests. Both airports will expedite reopening once safety is confirmed, with updates shared through official bulletins, social media, and coordination with airlines and government partners. So the question that is being asked out there, is there a possibility of the airports being closed? So I made sure to clarify that with the Airports Authority. The minute that a hurricane warning, not a watch, a warning has been issued, it is likely that the airports will close within 24 hours. It is not a must that both of them will be closed at the same time. It's all dependent on the tracking of the storm or the hurricane and the elements in terms of the locations of the two airports, which are obviously on the sea. So for right now, airports remain open, and the only time that we will move to close the airports will be if the Met Office issues a hurricane warning. If that was to be predicted or projected, that would probably be sometime tomorrow into Saturday. So sometime between tomorrow evening and Saturday day. But best thing is to monitor, and the hurricane warning is the trigger. So let's end my briefing on JPS. JPS has reported to me that they have fully activated the command centers under the new incident command system and placed overseas line workers on standby, with 31 of them already in Jamaica for pre-storm preparations. To boost resilience, critical control and telecom sites now have 48-hour backup power and new Starlink systems for communication continuity. The company has expanded its fleet with over 115 specialized vehicles to enhance post-storm response. Vegetation management and grid reinforcement have been intensified, especially in key transmission areas across western and eastern parishes. JPS is coordinating closely with national agencies and utilities to ensure safe access and timely and consistent customer updates. So this is welcome news to me, and it obviously is as a result of our experiences of Beryl. So I want to say that I can see that the JPS is being proactive, and I see Mr. Hugh Grant here, and I know he and I will be having several conversations between now and whenever the event, as I know that he would not like for he and I to have the same words that I had last year, this time with Beryl. I'm going to ask him to say a few words. You want to wait until after Minister Samuda? You can do now. And just to say to JPS, I know that you are doing tree line clearing, and I know I have reported already that some of your contractors, who I'm sure are being paid to remove the debris, are finding the easiest way, which is the gullies across Jamaica, which are only going to make matters worse for us. So I'm asking you, please, sir, as a matter of duty today, to make sure that those areas are inspected and satisfactorily signed off by JPS, and not rely on those contractors who have a habit of finding the shortest route to make the best and the most money. Zero tolerance. So, ladies and gentlemen, based on what I have told you here, I think the most important update is that of the JPS, and I am confident that we will manage, if necessary, much better than we manage based on the lessons we all learned coming out of Beryl. And you can rely on this administration and my colleague ministers and myself to be vigilant and to hold those accountable and responsible for an efficient response in all areas. Thank you. You want to say something, you? Sure. I hope I can shake you.
That's the kind of partnership we're going to have. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Didn't get me, eh?
Good morning, everyone. Good to be here, and appreciate you all. Yes, I could get you many. So as you heard Minister Vaz said, JPS stands ready and prepared to respond to the storm. Let me start by saying a tremendous thanks for the partnerships with many key stakeholders that as a result of that has positioned us very well. I want to say special thanks to my partners in terms of my fellow utilities. I see Stephen Price here, I see Kevin here, and I also know the other Stephen Morad. We have been in several conversations. I also want to say special thanks also to National Water Commission. I see Minister Samuda here, along of course with Kevin, who we have been partnering on multiple fronts. We have also been partnering with the National Works Agency, so thanks to that also for the partnerships, and many other partnerships, including the hospitals, whereby Minister Tufton and his team. So frankly, JPS has had a renewed approach in regards to storm response. And in the interest of time, I'll just share a few things that I consider, frankly, game-changing in terms of how we approach storms. Let me start by saying, in regards to our new incident command structure, we implemented a new incident command structure post-burial, and what does that do for us? One, it streamlines communication by having clear roles and responsibilities for our personnel. The other key thing that it does is it has an arm that's a liaison arm to communicate with key stakeholders. So what does that look like for us? We have an arm that's dedicated to the municipal corporations, whereby there we'll be getting the window and the lens of what's happening locally within the various parish councils and their disaster response and emergency agencies, bring that into our incident command to inform our response. I want to make a special call out to Minister Mackenzie for his support of his initiative, and we've been working tirelessly with his team around this. Frankly, we have exercised this in early November with the passage of Tropical Storm Raphael. It worked well, and we'll only continue to build on that. The other key thing that liaison arms does is it also establishes window into what's happening with our telecom and also the water space. There again, we'll be having daily calls with these key entities in terms of what are you seeing, what are your priorities, and ensure that it's prioritized and aligned with our response. So that heightened stakeholder engagement, that heightened transparency, that heightened communication, I think will serve us very well and be game-changing. The other thing that we did is, before the storm arrived, we have mutual aid resources. So we have boots on the ground right now that we brought in from our peer Caribbean utilities to help in regards to line workers and storm response. So we are expecting in the order of 60 additional line workers to augment and bolster our internal workforce. Just by order of magnitude, that's upward of 30%. That right there is game-changing. That is what best in class looks like. We're not waiting on a storm to arrive, wait until the aftermath, and then determine resources. We have preemptively utilized our models, brought boots on the ground from day one, so once it is safe to do so, we will be out there responding. We have also activated our incident command structure, whereby we're going to be working 24/7, non-stop, to safely and timely restore power to our customers. We're going to have very open and transparent communication, and we're going to be aligned around the priorities of ODPEM and other key stakeholders to ensure that we get the lights back on as safely and as quickly as possible. With all that being said, let us be frank. We have faced multiple weeks of significant rainfall. What does that mean for us? The ground is saturated. Saturated ground combined with increased rainfall in the order of what I'm hearing 6 to 12 inches, plus winds sustained in the order of 50 miles per hour, increases the likelihood of power outages. So I'm standing here to let you know the lights are going to go out. So let us plan for the lights going out. With that being said, we are committed, we are positioned, we are resourced, and we stand ready to respond. I also have confidence in the work that we have done in regards to our infrastructure improvement. Minister Vaz mentioned the intentional focus on vegetation management. Frankly, we have changed our strategy around vegetation management, whereby we're being more intentional in removing trees. Before, there was a strategy of having covered conductors in the vicinity of trees. But what we saw is that works well on a blue sky day. However, during storms, what happens? The tree falls. Where does it fall? Into your line. So we're removing the vegetation, and we have done that. We have done over 7,000 kilometers of lines, way ahead of our targets for this year. With that being said, I kindly take the minister's feedback in terms of an opportunity for us to do a better job and hold our contractors accountable with the cleanup that has not gone unnoticed. I'll take that back, and we'll redouble our efforts in that regard. The other thing that we have done is we have increased our spend in regards to our infrastructure and the rollout of smart devices. What does that look like? We have partnered with the Ministry of Health, Minister Tufton and his team, where we now have smart devices on priority circuits supplying hospitals. What does that mean? We have devices that can sense outages, and automatically transfer to other circuits, thereby restoring power. We have also partnered with Minister Samuda and his team, whereby we have prioritized circuits that are feeding critical water pumps. One such thing is in Logwood on the west, where there's a critical pump supplying the entire western area. We have reinforced the grid, we have enhanced our veg management, and we have open communications to these facilities. That would help us to have a much better response. The other thing that we have done is created more visibility around the grid, whereby we have rolled out our smart meters. With that, I'm going to close by saying, safety is our North Star. And the safety of the members of the public, the workers, and all who are out there responding is of ultimate and utmost importance to us. That would guide us in what we do each and every day, and we stand united with all to share and respond. Thank you very much. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. You can say a last word.
I can say he could have summed it up by saying easily that he got my memo from last year.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Vaz. Thank you to you from JPS, and I can assure Jamaica that Minister Vaz has your back. We know that last year it did not go well. And I know last year I hosted the prep meetings before the storm, and everybody said all the right things, and it didn't go as planned. And I know Minister Vaz is going to make sure that things go better than they did last year. We are now going to hear from the other telecom provider that's really, really important and Jamaica wants to hear from, and that's the NWC. And with us we have Kevin Carr, the acting head of the NWC, who will come forward to do a quick presentation.
Thank you, Minister. Good morning, everyone. Especially morning to my NWC team members who are committed and working hard to ensure that the plans that I will be presenting here today, we actually put them in place to ensure water is supplied before, during, and after the passing of Melissa. So today, my presentation will be in 4 parts. I'll provide some context, preparedness measures, and our public communication support, and I will close by reinforcing the Team NWC commitments. Although the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season has thankfully been less active than initially predicted, the National Water Commission remains on full alert. With Tropical Storm Melissa now developing in our region, we continue to take every precaution to safeguard our systems, our staff, and the communities we serve. As Jamaica's main supplier of potable water and provider of wastewater treatment services, the NWC recognizes how critical it is to maintain water and wastewater services before, during, and after any major weather event. Next, we will share what we at NWC have been doing to ensure we are prepared. From the beginning of this year hurricane season, we activated our hurricane preparedness and response plan, ensuring that systems, personnel, and communication channels are in place to respond swiftly and effectively. Our priorities remain clear: to protect the safety of our employees, infrastructure, and critical assets. And second, to guarantee continued access to safe drinking water and wastewater services for more than 540,000 customers across Jamaica. Next, I will share our current state of readiness for Tropical Storm Melissa. With the development of Tropical Storm Melissa, the NWC has moved into a heightened state of readiness. Key actions include: all hurricane response team members have been briefed and placed on high alert. Managers have met with their parish disaster committees to continue local actions. Heavy equipment, including water trucks and backhoes, has been prepared or placed on standby in regions where contractors' support may be required. Private providers of standby generators have also been engaged in case additional capacity is required. Field teams have been equipped with protective gear such as water boots, rain cloaks, and flashlights. In St. Thomas, pipelines located in landslide-prone areas that crosses rivers have been temporarily removed to prevent them from being washed away during heavy rainfall. Open trenches at work sites are currently being reinstated ahead of the bad weather and will be revisited for inspection and repair immediately after the passing. Storage levels are being filled and secured to support post-storm recovery. Teams are on standby to close off intakes such as yalas to prevent silting and blockages. Vehicles have been fueled and positioned on higher ground to in-flood-prone parishes. Our offices are ready to safeguard computers and critical files are needed. Private water truckers have been engaged to ensure hospitals, prisons, and other essential facilities have access to water after the storm. The NWC has established working groups with our key partners, JPS, the NWA, the municipal corporations, to ensure there is access and continuity in service after the passing. All existing water restrictions have been lifted to allow our customer to store water out of bad weather. In the western region, particular attention has been given to the Great River Water Treatment Plant, which serves Greater Montego Bay and its environs. This facility is often challenged with high turbidity during heavy rainfalls. In preparation for the coming weather, the intake at the Great River was taken out of operation for a new, more efficient pump to be installed. We have commissioned back in operation the full capacity of Great River Water Treatment plant last night, and our customers should gradually see improvement in service as of this morning. Next, I will share our public communication and support. The NWC also began sharing hurricane and tropical storm safety tips across our social media platforms and websites to help customers prepare and stay informed. We encourage the public to rely on these official channels for accurate, timely updates and advisories. And finally, the NWC remains committed to public safety, service continuity, and operational resilience. We extend sincere thanks to all our dedicated teams across the island who continue to work tirelessly to keep water flowing and wastewater systems functioning under challenging conditions. We urge everyone to stay safe, follow the instructions of the national authorities and continue to conserve water as we monitor the progress of Tropical Storm Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Our last speaker will be Minister Samuda for today. We're going to be taking a lot of questions right after Minister Samuda. Everybody who is here in the audience can answer questions from the media, and so we'll get to that very quickly. So over to you, Minister Samuda.
Thank you, Minister. Allow me to acknowledge Minister Desmond Mackenzie, who is joining us online, and thank him for the leadership he has been displaying since we've been under threat with the storm. Allow me to acknowledge all colleague ministers, permanent secretaries, heads of agency, indeed members of the utilities who have joined us. See JPS, Flow, Digicel, and of course NWC. I started yesterday by reminding folks that the situation is indeed serious. As at 8 a.m., as you would have heard, we would have moved to a tropical storm warning and to a hurricane watch. Now, as we said yesterday, that means it is indeed time not to panic, it is in time to plan. What you would have heard thus far is that planning has indeed been underway since Hurricane Beryl last year, under the leadership of Prime Minister Andrew Holness and indeed Minister Desmond Mackenzie. All of our disaster risk management systems are indeed in place, and we've been working seamlessly together with him through the Met Service. So the first thing I'd like to highlight and bring to the country's attention is that, yes, we are aware and have taken recommendations and indeed some fair criticism that we have some work to do on the communication protocols from Met Service. So over the coming 24 hours, you'll see significant improvement in communication of exactly what is happening, as we know there's a fair bit of anxiety within the society. But in that communication, we are encouraging, as Minister Tufton did, that members of the public stick to official sources. The official sources will be the Met Services website and indeed social media accounts, the ODPEM website and social media accounts, the Office of the Prime Minister website and social media accounts, Ministry of Education, Youth, JIS, Ministry of Water. Doesn't quite have a website yet, but certainly we have social media accounts. But the broader point is that we're encouraging all members of the public, regardless of what your concern is, whether it's just general anxiety or it is helping you to plan for your business, helping you to plan for your households, helping you to plan for your communities, stick to the official sources of information. The storm is moving particularly slowly with its frontward movement. Now that is the case now. It may not be the case in a few hours. It may not be the case tomorrow. So we encourage persons to stick to the bulletins that are distributed by the Met Service every few hours and to be attentive and to take heed. Minister Mackenzie would have encouraged all of the citizens living in flood-prone areas to be particularly attentive to notices that will come from the police, from the fire brigade, and indeed from ODPEM. We want to again remind citizens that we have brought on all of our early warning systems that do help to feed information to relevant agencies through WRA, monitoring our riverbeds, and indeed NEPA with their early warning systems so that we're able to track what is happening. What you're seeing, Minister Dixon, I believe, is the coming together of all the relevant stakeholders. We will continue to update you through the day, through the night. Our teams are working now 24 hours a day. We are providing the necessary information to all stakeholders, but be very keenly attentive because it can change in a moment's notice. As we are aware, we continue to thank our partners, certainly the National Hurricane Center in the United States. We also want to specially mention the United Nations Country Office, which has already reached out to us to provide additional support. And in closing, Minister Dixon, I did speak to Deputy Prime Minister Chang before entering, and he did ask me to also assure citizens, especially business owners, that security arrangements are indeed in place should we be affected by the storm to ensure that public order is indeed maintained, but he will provide much greater detail at an appropriate time should it become necessary. So thank you, Minister Dana Dixon, and thank you, stakeholders.
All right. right, thank you very much, Minister. You'd have heard from several ministers and some entity heads today. We do have, I'll remind the media that we do have with us Digicel and Flo. They're both here and ready to take questions from you, as well as ICJUTC. JPS is still here. You can ask your questions of JPS too. Petrojam is here, and many other agencies are here. Airports Authority is here too. You heard from Minister Vaz in relation to when airports may close, and as you heard, it was if we have a hurricane warning. So I'm going to be, ODPEM is also here. ODPEM is ready to take your questions, and I hope you will direct some questions there so that Mr. Thompson can answer. And online we have Minister Mackenzie. So if you have any questions of anyone who is here, please ask them now, and I'm going to hand over to Rasheen Nangle to ask the questions.
Good morning, everyone. Just a gentle reminder, we're asking persons who have their questions to please stand, state your name and the entity you're from. Thank you.
Good morning again, everyone. My name
morning.
is Alia Bryant with Television Jamaica. My two questions. In the event that our hospitals and health centers get overwhelmed, the public ones that is, have any arrangements been made for our private health organizations to assist? And also, will the NWSC be suspending reconnection bills for communities that will be affected by the storm or hurricane?
All right, thank you. So who wants to take questions? Minister Samuda, you want to take one part? I know PS Green, you'll take the second part, so you can come forward when you're ready.
So it is standard practice for the NWC to suspend disconnections during a period of national turbulence, as this would be. I also want to remind folks, as I should have in my presentation, to pay keen attention to NWC's updates as it relates to water quality, as post-storms you will have challenges from time to time. So follow the Ministry of Health's boil water notices, and certainly follow NWC's notices if there's turbidity or siltation that is over and above usual levels. So, Minister
All right, thank you. Minister of Health. And just introduce yourself to Jamaica.
Thank you very much. So I'm Dr. Nicole Dawkins-Wright, and I'm the Director for the Emergency Operations Center in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. As it relates to our capacities and our linkages, should we become overwhelmed? So over years, we would have built a very strong relationship with our private providers and health systems. So if it becomes necessary that we need to, in fact, move or transfer some of our patients to private care, we have some arrangements in place, and we will initiate those standard operating procedures.
All right, thank you very much for those questions.
Good morning, everyone. Mahiri Stewart, Nationwide News here. My question to the Telecoms, Energy, and Transport Ministry, I guess, would be, in terms of the OUR and their regulation of the providers, how much confidence is there in the OUR to properly govern the providers in the response to the storm?
All right. Met, no, I saw the PD here before. I don't see her here. Now is she here? Okay, here she is. Madam PD. She's going to come and respond to that question. Do you have another one, or that's the only one? That's okay. All right. And she's very capable of answering any question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much, and good morning. The Ministry is confident that the Office of Utilities Regulation is positioned and poised to continue and to increase its regulation of the utility providers. As you would have heard Minister Vaz earlier, we would have had significant discussions post-burial as to the expectations that we have not only for utility providers but also our regulator. And we are confident that with the information that they have shared thus far and the measures they put in place, and the experience from last year, that they will be in a position to monitor post-burial interaction or activity from both the telecommunication providers and in particular JPS, I know which have been a concern. But you'd have heard Mr. Grant already and Minister Vaz. So we remain confident, and I know the Minister has the Director General of OUR on speed dial should anything be required.
All right, thank you. Your next one.
Yeah, so my second question is to JPS as well as the other providers such as Digital and Flow. Well, to JPS specifically, we know that post-Hurricane Beryl last year, there was a lot of controversy in terms of the bills that people received post-restoration efforts. There were a lot of discrepancies. Some people were saying that they were charged too high. In terms of the protocol for charging Jamaicans after a storm, what's done to determine those bills, and how will it be done if we are negatively affected by this storm that's coming now?
All right, we'll let JPS respond. And I think Flo has indicated they'll also respond right after.
Good morning. Thanks for that question. So in regards to the bills, I will say, as I mentioned earlier this year, JPS completed 100% rollout of our smart meters. Smart meters are digital meters with a high level of accuracy. So one of the things that's a change right now is, as a result of that smart meter rollout, we will now be able to very clearly and accurately have insights in terms of the consumptions. Prior to having smart meter rollout, we'd have to actually go ahead and have meter readers physically go out there and read the meters. And sometimes during a storm, that is not possible. By having smart meters and that communication being reported back to us, we will now have more accuracy and visibility actually into what's happening with the bills. In full transparency, I will say some of the potential pressures that a bill has is based on the change in the fuel mix that we have during storms. I just got a report a while ago that the floating storage regasification unit, that's the unit that supplies our liquefied natural gas, due to the threats and the adverse weather conditions, they're going to go ahead and demobilize. What does that mean? We're no longer going to have access to liquefied natural gas at some of our facilities, and unavailability of a particular unit that's only able to burn liquefied natural gas that's controlled by the independent power producers. So what that means for us then is units that are able to burn the alternate diesel oil, those units will burn alternate diesel oil. The reality is that's a more pricey commodity than liquefied natural gas, so that could potentially have upward pressures on the bill. In addition to the reality that now that you have some of the more efficient combined cycle units that are unavailable who would burn gas, you're now burning less efficient units that burning heavy fuel oil, and that could also have upward pressures on the bill. So the reality is, due to the fuel mix, independent power producers being unable to burn alternate diesel oil, and the need to burn less efficient fuel to ensure the security of the grid and what you call security dispatch, there could be potential upward pressure. The good news is we're working with the OUR and other agencies to minimize that potential impact. I'll just close lastly with one thing that says the other thing that happens during a hurricane is that the renewable energy, wind and solar, are significantly curtailed. Curtailment in the order of over 80%. Therefore, in terms of the availability of that, you're talking about less than 20%. So in Jamaica, we have just over 50 megawatts of solar. The expected output during a hurricane, given the cloud cover, is pretty much zero or a little bit above that. So you now are going to have to be running other units that's burning fossil fuel to offset that, to meet the customer demand, and also ensure you have system stability and not a shutdown. Those combined effects in terms of not having availability of liquefied natural gas, the curtailment of renewables leads to potential upward trends in regards to bills and the impact. But we'll work with the regulators and other agencies to see what we can do to soften or minimize that. Hopefully I answered your question.
I think that was a long answer. Hugh Grant, who is the Chief Operating Officer of JPS, just provided his response, and we have with us Stephen Price, Stephen Price, our head of Flow. And I have to say, I really appreciate it, Stephen, for you being here. I know how busy you are. You're the head of a very big entity, and you're here with us today. And so I really appreciate it, and I want to thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you, Jamaica. I'd like to really say and add to that message that from a billing perspective, we believe that we have some very robust billing processes and procedures that have guided us, especially since the storm last year. Now, obviously, we recognize that hurricanes, weather events, emergencies such as this are force majeure events, right? Last hurricane, because of the spread outages that happened, we did something which was one-off from that perspective in terms of the rebates of customers. We now have the kind of robust monitoring and reporting around outages right across the island, so we know exactly who is out, when they're out, how long they're out for. And so as the hurricane progresses, and we watch and we hope, knock on wood, that everything will be okay, but in the event that there is any danger, we'll evaluate, understand exactly just the extent of outages, and make some decisions during then. But right now at this point, our bills are accurate. We encourage you to pay your bills, as that's how we do our things, right? And we're going to say to you that we're going to be pausing disconnections over the period of the storm and watch, just to make sure that everybody has access. We know there is always that challenge for the most vulnerable amongst us in terms of the prioritization of expenditure in emergencies because of their emergency supplies, etc. There's a little break coming, but those who can, we encourage you to continue to pay as you do, because that's how we keep the machinery running, right? So thank you very much.
But while you're here,
sure.
I won't let you go. Say to Jamaica, Flo's readiness, Digicel is going to come up after you, so Flo's readiness for this storm.
No, definitely. We have been at this for years. It's not our first rodeo. And I will say to you, I think this year is probably the best year for us as a combined utility group. I will say to you, we've done our own simulations over the year. We've done regional simulations with other entities. We've done simulations here with JPS, NWC, Digicel, as well as ODPEM. So we are very, very prepared from that perspective. From a power perspective, while we work with our partners, we do have backup supply for about 61% of our mobile sites at this present point in time. So we work hand in hand. We have hardened some of the most vulnerable routes which affected our partners in terms of Digicel as well as NWC and JPS last year. Right. Taken some of those underground in terms of Mandeville, Porus, Sandy Bay. A number of areas have gone underground in terms of that kind of infrastructure. So it's not aerial anymore, so it's less vulnerable to those kind of challenges. We are ready. Our teams are ready. Our emergency operations center is now open, and that will run 24/7 based at our headquarters. We have our field units. They are staged at the particular locations right across the island to respond at a moment's notice. Once we get the all clear, and that's a very important point, I want to make sure that everybody understands. We're governed under the National Disaster Risk Management Practices and Processes. When ODPEM provides the all clear to the country, that's when we are able to go out and understand and inspect what is happening and make those assessments. JPS, NWC, Digicel, we're no different. We have to make those assessments at that point in time. And yes, we are a human organization as well. Our people have families. So we also have to take into consideration those things as well as we continue to restore. But at the same time, once we get the all clear, we'll start the assessment period. That normally takes between 24 to 48 hours in terms of getting the first assessments. But what we commit to based on the communications that we've had and the discussions with our Digicel, JPS, NWC, we will start to do and make sure that we have the quick wins first and foremost, but we will keep the nation informed. That is a guarantee from each and every one of us as utility providers that we will make sure this nation stays connected to the things that matter the most. Your families, your friends, your people, your loved ones. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. You've heard from Flo, you've heard some commitments too, to all of you, and now we hear from Digicel. And I know you have another role, you know, but you're here as Digicel today.
Yes, good morning everyone. Brittany Clark, Public Relations Manager for Digicel. So We echo your sentiments. Thank you so much. And again, we appeal to the public just to ensure that you continue to keep us updated, give us all the information that you need to get your services restored, and of course, stay tuned to our channels where we'll provide all accurate updates in a timely manner. So when it comes to bills, as you addressing your question, we know that, of course, during our weather events, any natural disaster, safety and connectivity are our priorities as telecoms providers. So it's always ensuring that we do the necessary assessments, especially post-storm, to ensure that our customers are treated fairly. So, we don't want to see any exorbitant bills, especially where there are prolonged service disruptions. So while our billing systems will continue, as Mr. Price would have said, of course, we do want to ensure that we review and make any necessary adjustments and credits where necessary. So if we have to provide any write-offs, any credits towards the bill payments, etc., we will implement those measures where necessary. Our goal is necessary to keep the public connected. Telecoms, it's essential. Contacting service providers, contacting the emergency responders, we need to keep persons up and running. So we too want to add that Digicel has strengthened our resiliency. We are relentless in staying up to date with our customers, so 24/7. We have several helplines available. We have our new WhatsApp line, which was implemented, and our AI bot is available to serve. That number is 876-355-5000. We also have our main line 619-5000 as well as 100, and our Ruby available via the My Digicel app. Now, as well, we want to ensure that our generators are up and running. We've added additional backup. So we have generator systems. We have our solar project, which is well underway. So we are ready as well to serve our customers during this time. But just to iterate, Digicel will monitor the network and billing systems closely to ensure accuracy and fairness. Our backup power, data, redundancy, and system checks are all in place. So everything is accurate at this time, and we will ensure that, especially post-storm, we do the necessary assessments and address customer concerns. But we are ready, and again, we too are appreciative of the partnership with all our utility providers. Also to add, vandalism is a problem that we continue to face, so we want to again echo the sentiments that, please, these are essential services, so continue to take care of them because we help to take care of you. So again, we join, we know Flo is also on board to support, but we join to say, guys, please, do not damage our equipment because it causes more damage in the long run. So please, let's stand together, and if you see something, please say something. But Digicel is ready, and we thank you.
Thank you. All right, Digicel says they are ready too. Do we have any other questions from the media? No other questions? Going once, going twice, and it is now gone. Your opportunity is gone, and I want to thank everybody here for really coming and giving the updates that you did. Jamaica is very grateful for it. What it shows is that things have improved over last year. And Hurricane Beryl, we did a pretty decent job in response, but there were some areas that we didn't do as well in, and you hear, and it was so good to hear from JPS, from Flo and Digicel, and also including ODPEM in terms of the work that had been done, and NWC in making sure that we're in a better position this time around. We will be continuing with our press briefings. We will have discussions with ODPEM and the Met Service. We may need to do another press briefing tomorrow morning. Our goal as government is to keep you informed right along the way. So please, as you've heard, listen to the official channels. That's where you should get your information from, not a weird person on any social media platform. You listen to the ministers here, you go to official GIS, you go to the Office of the Prime Minister, and you go to the Ministry of Environment and Climate, Water and Climate Change. That's where you're going to get your information, and ODPEM is the lead. ODPEM leads all of us in our response, and so you go to ODPEM first, and then you can see what everybody else is saying. And so you've gotten more information. The Met Service reminded me to say to you that if you have not yet started to prepare for Tropical Storm Melissa, you need to do so now. Again, if you've not started, you need to do so now. And so, as always, we pray for Jamaica. We pray that God will spare us the worst of this storm or hurricane. But as we pray to God, we know God wants us to do what we can to prepare. And so we're doing as best as we can in government. We're giving you information, and we ask that you do the same preparations for your families. But always never forget those who are not able to help themselves, those who are elderly, those who may not have family. Please look out for your brothers and sisters in this country. We are in this together, and we will get through this together. And so until we meet again, which will probably be tomorrow, as always, I say, God bless all of you, and God bless Jamaica, land we love. Thank you.